listening to The Mark Cox Show. Follow the show on Facebook. Facebook.com/The Mark Cox Show.
You remind me of Columbo.
No, I'm not good or bad. I've actually heard that. I'm roast. It's all right. I've heard that before.
That was Dr. Ben Carson yesterday during his confirmation hearing, talking to the senator from Ohio, Sherrod Brown, telling me it reminded him of Columbo. I don't know if it's because of his line of questioning or what. I wasn't able to put it in context, but clearly you didn't hear much from that hearing, so I'm guessing that it was pretty non-controversial. We'll see what happens. What is going to be controversial is going to be the possibly tens of thousands of people who show up on Inauguration Day to protest. So security is going to be tight. John Decker from Fox News Radio is joining us right now, and he's taking a closer look at preparations for the inauguration. John, how are you?
Hey, I'm well. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great, thank you. I'm guessing they're hard at work today and through the weekend getting ready for this inauguration next week.
Well, that's right. They're vowing to make the inauguration of Donald Trump incident-free. In fact, more than 36 law enforcement agencies are working together on security and safety plans right now, and there's a lot of effort to close down areas around the Capitol where the inauguration swearing in will take place. That will take place on Friday, of course, and that means that Capitol Police and police from the District of Columbia, the FBI, the Secret Service, the National Guard, they'll all be providing security to make sure that there are no incidents that happen on January the 20th.
Are they releasing numbers? Do they have an expectation of the number of people that are going to try to squeeze into the Capitol that day?
Well, the record is 1.8 million. That's according to the Park Police, who gave that estimate, and that was for President Barack Obama's first inaugural swearing in, which took place in January of 2009. We'll definitely not have that many people for this particular swearing. And that being said, I would not be surprised to see about 1 million people be in the nation's capital for the inauguration of Donald Trump. And it's going to be an interesting thing to watch on television in the sense that you're going to have President Barack Obama up on the inaugural platform, and former President Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton will be there as well. George W. Bush and Laura Bush and Jimmy and Rosalind Carter will be up there in addition to that. So I think it's going to be an interesting thing, I think, in terms of just the dynamics of it all.
So John, when it comes to security, maybe you've asked this question, maybe you haven't, but for example, in the Senate hearings this week, couple of the confirmation hearings, right in the middle of Jeff Sessions speaking, suddenly somebody stands up in the back of the room and they start screaming and they have to be escorted out. And then 3 minutes later, somebody else stands up. I'm sure they've got this timed, and they start screaming and somebody has to escort them out. I'm thinking if they have trouble with security in a small setting like that, what in the world are they worried about at an inauguration which is outside, with people sneaking through into the inner part of the sanctum there, I guess, so to speak?
Yeah. No, it's a really good question. I think that's an excellent question. I think that you are speaking for a lot of people when they see those protests happen during the confirmation hearings. The answer is that this is being led by the Secret Service, and they just won't allow that kind of thing to happen along the parade route or the motorcade route. There will be several layers of security in place on Friday, January the 20th, and so that means that it's very unlikely that those types of things would happen to sort of even get the attention of television cameras. It's going to, my guess is, and I hope I'm right, obviously, my guess is it's going to be an incident-free event on January the 20th. The protesters are going to be certainly here in Washington, D.C., but they're going to be far away from the platform where Donald Trump will be sworn in as president.
Did you report from the RNC?
I was not in Cleveland, no. I covered the DNC, but, this will be my... I haven't done the numbers yet, but I've covered every swearing-in inauguration since 1996.
Okay.
And I have a really good spot for it. So I can tell you the types of security and the types of layers you have to go through in order to get to such a good spot where you're just maybe a few dozen feet away from the president as he's being sworn in.
Yeah, and I only bring that up because I remember there were expectations that at the Republican National Convention that the protesters would steal the show, and it was just a non-issue because of the way the security perimeter was set up. So maybe that's something similar to what we see at the inauguration,
very
I'm guessing.
Similar.
Yeah.
It's a great question, very similar, and now I understand why you asked me that. It's very similar. So there are several protest groups planning large-scale demonstrations. They have permits. They're vowing to paralyze the city. The thing of it is that those permits are for an area far away from the Capitol, far away from the site where the motorcades and the parades will go both to and from the Capitol to the White House. So I'm not terribly concerned about that. If you're in that area, obviously you're going to be dealing with protesters, but most of the people that will be visiting Washington, D.C. for the inauguration will not be near those areas.
We're talking to John Decker from Fox News Radio. One final question. I've heard reports, and I don't know if they're legitimate or not, that Donald Trump decided to shorten the parade route so he can get to work sooner. Have you heard that?
No, I've heard the same exact thing. I think that not necessarily the parade route is shortened. It's the same distance. It's just from the Capitol to the White House. But what's different is that the parade itself, in terms of duration, is much shorter than what we've seen in previous inaugurations. And I think that's exactly what Donald Trump wants. He wants his team on January the 20th, which is a Friday, to be at their desks at the White House, working before they can obviously leave at the end of the day so they can go to one of two officially sanctioned inaugural balls.
Very good. Hey, John Decker, have a great weekend. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Absolutely. John Decker from Fox News Radio covering preparations for the inauguration. Yeah, I mean, you